Hello, gang. How's it going? Mr. Seabury back with another little vlog. Today's topic is going to be differentiated instruction. I was only able to do one observation this week because I had some conflicts for one of my days. Normally I do two a week because I like being cool, but this week we only have one, so we have a bit more limited information. But it's okay because I'm going to pull from my previous observations. It's going to be awesome. Once again, if you enjoyed what you're seeing, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, or just enjoy the content, or just check it out and see what you think. Feel free to share your ideas about education or anything in the world. This video is not going to be nearly as interesting as the last week's entry, simply because I don't have any ideas right now. I've been very, very busy. It's been a busy week for Mr. Seabury. So we're just going to go with the classic, similar to the first style, just kind of a little bit of a yap sesh. We're going to answer these questions and any other questions and or topics that come to me in my brain. But other than that, we are going to just see what happens. Also, I'm currently dealing with a cricket epidemic, and by epidemic, I mean one singular cricket that was outside. If I have time, I can insert the video and show you guys where the cricket was. Maybe, I don't think I will, but there's a cricket outside by my vent on the wall outside my balcony, and it's been chirping, and it's in my vents, and I'm mad about it. But I think I've gotten rid of it, so yeah, let's get started. So like I said, today we're talking about differentiated instruction. The idea behind differentiated instruction is that we're not using the same instructional style throughout our entire semester because different people learn through different methods. And obviously we can't cater to everybody all the time, which is why we want to make sure that each lesson kind of targets a different learning style, so that way everybody gets a little bit of something, is the idea. You don't want to make all of your lessons super lecture heavy because for some students that doesn't work, but you also don't want to make them all hands-on learning because for some students that doesn't work. You want to vary. You want to have differentiated, varied instruction consistently throughout your curriculum. So let's just jump straight into it. Regarding my CT, how does the CT vary their instructional strategies to address different learning styles, i.e. visual learners, oral learners, or kinesthetic/tactile learners? For those of you who don't know, visual learning is like the idea of watching a slideshow. Oral learners is about audio, so like speaking or listening to somebody explain something. That's how you learn it, that's how you do it. And then kinesthetic and tactile is like literally hands-on. I would say my CT is really good about varying everything. The big thing is that for visual learners, there's usually some sort of visual element or modeling. Modeling is my favorite part of visual learning, is physically getting up and showing somebody what I am trying to explain to them, because that's how I'm like good at explaining things, is visually. For oral learners, the CT has a really good handle on explaining things verbally as well while modeling, which I love. I won't reference this past week because low-key it was just a work day for the tech class while they were setting up for the show that was happening in a few weeks. But previously, whenever we were looking at the production class and the tech class, there was a combination of both physical modeling and verbal explanation of what the ideas were they were trying to learn. We're back. My phone storage was full. Anyways, was really good at physically modeling and verbally explaining things during actors positions, levels, stuff like that, areas of the stage. Awesome stuff. And then for my kinesthetic learners, people who use their hands for stuff, which I'm a great example of that. I love putting my hands on something to help me understand it. For the production class, we did a tableau activity where they actually got to physically manifest those actors' positions and stuff, and there were a lot of activities to get them moving and understanding of things. But then also for the tech class recently, they were literally putting together the set and risers during a class today. They also, I know for a fact, hung and focused their lights. I got to help with the programming, which was super fun during the tech class. But also like it was nice being able to see the teacher like help lead that instruction while letting them literally physically do the work without doing it for them, so that way they can help understand those things, which I thought was pretty dope. What types of challenges do you notice with differentiated instruction, and what are some potential remedies? I don't think this is something that I have seen so far, but my concerns obviously are in that certain students aren't going to respond to certain material. That's just that's just the nature of the beast. Some of my lessons aren't going to hit certain students, which can be really, it's kind of upsetting to think about that. I want my students to truly like all of the lessons that I'm giving them. And I think the remedy is kind of like I talked about, making sure that you're not focusing on one specific learning style per lesson, but rather incorporating as many as possible within each lesson, even if it's in small ways. So that way your students can tune into at least one activity per day, even if it's not the entire day, even if you don't have to try to hold their attention. The goal is to obviously try to get their attention the entire time, but it's very unrealistic. They're gonna lose focus at least a little bit. The hope is that you can differentiate your instruction mid-lesson, and then throughout the arc, you're at least getting everybody's attention at least once for one activity. That's kind of my personal remedy and my thought process on that. Are there other remedies and other problems that can come with differentiated instruction? Absolutely, but that's kind of my mindset on that. If you have any thoughts or ideas as to other problems or remedies, feel free to leave a comment and talk about that, because I would love to create some discussion if need be. Or if want be, I don't know, I want be. Anyways, next question. Which of your CT's methods, techniques, or activities do you feel is most successful for engaging a variety of learning styles? Why do you think it is effective? I think that the modeling activities are really, really good. Starting with lecture, then scaffolding the modeling, then scaffolding to physical manifestation of, it's back. You can't hear it, but the cricket's there. I'm going to go take care of it in a second after the video is done. But the physical manifestation, like for example, the Tableau activity we did was good because she started by talking about, okay, these are what the actress positions are. These are the areas of the stage. And while she was verbally explaining it, she's also basically walking around showing the students where things are, how things work, and then you say, okay, now you try. And they're literally moving their bodies with kinesthetic response and kinesthetic learning to get their bodies moving and to have a fun time. I don't know why I'm singing, but that's the vibe, and I think that was a really good activity. Additionally, we did an activity that was, oh my gosh, in the tech class, my first time with the tech class, we did a group activity where they had to cross the stage using 3 2x4s, or I think 3 or 4 2x4s per group, but you couldn't touch the floor. It was like floor's lava type stuff. And it was mainly focused on teamwork. And so it was nice because for my kinesthetic learners, that was just like a physical activity. For visual learners, it was a little bit harder, and for oral learners, it was a little bit harder. But also, we were doing what we could to push them along verbally, and help give them the verbal advice that they need. The visual learners, we couldn't really model it for them because we wanted them to figure it out. But like literally watching there's multiple groups, and so they could physically see other groups progressing. And if that was something that helped them along, that could be classified as visual learning, I think. And so I think that was another really, really good activity that I personally loved getting to do, because it also meant I got to mess with some students a little bit. I got to like scare them by making them think that I would like take away their 2x4s or something like that. It was good. Next question. Are the needs and individual differences of students in the class being centered, and how does the CT modify lesson plans to address those needs/differences? That's a really good question. I recently had a moment, not in the observations, but where I was teaching on Saturday, where I had a student who couldn't get out of their chair. I was subbing in for a class of people that I hadn't worked with before, and one of them had just gotten surgery on their leg, and while they could walk around with, they had crutches, I didn't feel comfortable asking them to get up for activities because it didn't feel like right. So I tried everything in my power to modify that activity and to make sure that they could still participate without, compromising their comfortability and their safety. So I think it's something that's really important to me. I think in the classes that I've seen so far, we've seen a lot of that. One is advocating for students who can't really speak up for themselves. Some students are a little shy, and I think that the teacher is doing a really good job of not only speaking up for those students when it seems like they can't, but also encouraging them to grow and to become more vocal about their opinions and how they're feeling about a certain situation in class. I wish that I could see more when it comes to physical differences, because that just hasn't been a thing that I've seen in the classroom, because there haven't been any students with physical differences from my understanding. But the teacher is really, really good about accommodating how she is talking to students, making sure that, because some students at this school are very like banterful and fun and like to make a little joke or two. And she's good about responding in kind and making sure that they feel safe, but also like that they're having a good time. But then some students don't respond that way. And and my CT is very, very good about matching that energy wherever it needs to be, which I absolutely love. The last question we are going to answer today: how do you intend to differentiate instruction for various learning styles, needs, and differences of your students? Give a specific example of an activity or lesson, and then discuss how you would incorporate a variety of techniques. Like I already talked about, I focus on it every single day. I was recently, like I said, doing a speed Tableau game, but one of my students couldn't get up, so I made sure to pick topics and Tableau ideas that could accommodate to somebody who couldn't get out of their chair. That was literally an example of me using differentiated instruction and making sure that that person could engage. In terms of visual, oral, kinesthetic learning, I'm big on starting with a lecture. Even though lectures can be kind of boring for some, I believe it is good because some students do respond to that. I think starting with a basic lecture, talking about what we're going to be discussing and verbally explaining what's going to be happening can really, really help things along. When I was recently teaching on Saturday, I was teaching Meisner to high schoolers. And to do that, I sort of verbally explained, hey, this is what this exercise is going to be. This is where it comes from. This is why we're doing it. This is the purpose of it. And then to follow that up for my visual learners, I visually modeled it. I said, hey, can some brave volunteer come up with me and model this with me? And then we did the Meisner repetition exercise when it comes to like noticing reactions and stuff, where I had a student who was I'm very thankful for, come up and model it with me. They were very, very brave and bold because it was their first time doing it, and they killed it. But I helped model it, and that way I could point out, okay, this is what we're doing. So that way, even when they're physically seeing it, I'm also verbally explaining what's going on and the steps that I'm taking to make this exercise succeed. And then I go, for my kinesthetic learners, I go, okay, now it is your turn. You guys are up. I've given you all the tools that I think I can give you to succeed. I will be here to help guide you along if need be, but I want you to try it. That was what I did for my Meisner lesson, but I think it's also important for other types of lessons that you may or may not be doing. And it's something that I want to apply for all of my lessons in future is kind of lecture, modeling, and then having them just do it, because that's the best way for them to learn. So yeah, that's going to be my vlog today. It might be a little bit shorter than the previous ones, but this is just kind of my thoughts on differentiated instruction. I know it was a bit of a yap sesh, so thank you for bearing with me. I'm going to do what I can to come up with a fun idea. Ooh, no, I know exactly what I'm going to do for my next one, but I won't spoil it. So you'll see me next week for another lecture, or not lecture, but another little vloggy vlog moment about my observations. Super excited to talk about that. Super excited to see you guys again. Once again, if you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Don't be afraid to engage in discussion in the comments regarding how you're feeling about differentiated instruction or anything that you're feeling. Just have a good time, and I will catch you guys on the other side. Peace. I figured out how we're going to make this video interesting. I'm going to do a little dance for y'all called the Alabama Stomp. Please enjoy.
Teach a man to finish, you feed him for a lifetime. Teach a man the Alabama Stomp, you
Feed his soul. Thank you.